I came to bury sin.
Cursed spite that ever I was born to set it.
Shall I compare thee to a summer's day?
This is the excellent foppery of the world. We went to Stratford on Avon. It was the RSC's production of all of Shakespeare in 1 year. And we, with Theatre for a New Audience, did it in the Swan Theatre. And I got there early, about a week before the company. I was doing a movie not far from there. And I had access to the theatre. This was the first, by the way, eye-opening part of my experience at Stratford. Is that when I got there at 10 o'clock in the morning, I was living across the street from the theatre. Practically everywhere you live in that town is across the street from a theatre where they're doing Shakespeare. But I asked if I could use the stage. The doors were completely open. It was not because it was me. They didn't know who I was, actually. It was an actor who wanted to see the stage and use it. Go right in. It's right over there. And I walk out on this stage, which has another set from another Shakespeare that's being done that night. And no one's there watching over me or spying or making sure that I'm not going to break or take anything. And I walked out on the stage, and I promise you, I get goosebumps now that I remember it. Because I was overwhelmed with this feeling of the place where it should be done is right here. It was breathtaking. It still is. And I began to work out and test the sound and the perimeters of the stage and make myself at home in the place, which is what I do. But never like this. And when the company arrived a week later, I wanted to make sure I was there to see if my reaction was something that I created, that I, fantasized, or if it was legitimate, if it existed like a church. And I was in the theater, and they came in as a company, and the same thing happened to them. They were in the presence of the shrine. But it wasn't a shrine in terms of, it was more a home. And as good as we were here, and it was a wonderful production, by the way, you were going to be better. And we were. But the first night in that town, in that theater, with that audience, the Shakespeare aficionados, we were a little bit worried. And when the show was over, and we were going to wait to come out for our curtain calls, they stood up and cheered. And it was an explosion of sound. And we all looked at each other, and we went out and took our bows and went back out, and they wouldn't let us alone, and we went out again. And the next night, we were thinking, well, that's the first night, and who knows what, generosity. It was the same thing. And we knew that we had done right by Shakespeare, and he had done right by us, but of course, he is who he is, but we accomplished it. And that's when I realized that, if you can say, changed my life. It really did, in terms not only of the extent of his power. It's more than theoretical. This audience was worldwide. These people were from all over the world, and they were all touched, moved by what we had done. That is real universality. Beyond theater, we saw it, we experienced it, and it happened every single night. So we didn't invent it. But what it did for me also was to absolutely reassure me that Americans can do Shakespeare as well as anyone. That was very important. I am sorry to say American critics don't quite understand that, but in fact it's the truth. And that was, I shouldn't say it changed my life. I will say that it absolutely, it was one of the most moving things that's ever happened to me in the theater. And in those terms, I suppose you could say that Shakespeare Shakespeare let me know that this thing that I've loved all my life, since I was introduced to it in high school anyway, this thing is real.